Awesome photo sent in by Irene of a rain shaft. That's absolutely pouring down rain, about as hard as it can rain. Brittany E sent in a spectacular photograph of the sky.
Hey,
Look like
what's
some
up, guys?
gravity waves. This here's from Maui, Hawaii, sent in by Rochelle. Big round cloud that almost looks like some sort of a disc up in the sky.
Doing good?
And we go from a disc to a 90-degree angle square. Look at that. Melissa from Missouri noticed that.
Hang on just a
It's
second.
like a big triangle in the sky. Perfect 90-degree angle. This here's kind of unique photograph sent in from Lincoln, Nebraska by Chad of some very unique clouds, the only ones of their kind in the sky at the time he took the photograph. Good observation.
Doing a quick audio
Another
check.
double rainbow. This
All right,
one's
I
sent
think
in
we're
by
good.
JoJo from Gainesville,
Got the
Florida.
audio,
And this here is very unique with regard to
configured
looks like
correctly.
a moon or a crescent moon.
So that's good.
But
It
it's
makes it a
a
little easier.
independent
In fact, it makes it a
rainbow,
whole lot
rainbow
easier for
colors
me.
just
You
up
get
in the
everything all
sky
lined
all
up
by themselves.
that you
That
want
was a
to
photograph
go over
taken
in
by
your live
Albert.
stream, and then the
I
audio
received that
doesn't
this
work,
morning.
so
Beautiful photo here from
definitely helps
Bartsville,
when that
Oklahoma,
works.
sent in by KAYLN.
Hope everybody's having a
Beautiful sunbeams.
good Wednesday.
And this last one
halfway
here is
through the
from
week.
Denmark, Lolland, Denmark. What looks like some sort of a square-shaped
Can't believe
cloud.
we're still
Doesn't
talking
look
about
like anything
wildfires
else
in
in the
Australia.
sky with regard to the other clouds. Looks very unique.
Unbelievable.
That's why he took the photograph. Photograph sent in by TORBJON from Denmark. Jennifer from Scottsdale, Arizona, looked
go
up
to
and saw a
that
big
here in just a
rectangle in the
second.
sky. And it has a hole on the right-hand side of
letting
the
everybody
rectangle.
hop on
Christy
board
from
before
Gilbert,
we
Arizona,
start.
big huge ring in the sky. Almost
Talk a
looks
little bit
like
about
a
Venus.
big oyster shell. Look at that
And
thing
Venus
sitting
is
up
in
there.
the sky right
That's
now.
right out here in Gilbert. Good
If
observation.
you look west,
Spectacular clouds as we're in the monsoon season. Now here's what I was talking about earlier. This is the very beginning of that rocket launch, and that's what I was talking about. It looked like a red fireball. This was a picture taken by ERIN from not quite sure of the time. It all depends on the weather.
Okay, how about that?
This
Is
is
that better?
another spectacular photograph sent in by ERIN, once again from Melbourne, Florida. Look at that. Just absolutely beautiful. Good job, guys. Keep them coming. You are wide awake and on the ball. AIDAN noticed some wings in the sky. It looks like a giant dove landing on the sun. Spectacular photograph.
hang
Alberta,
on, guys.
Canada,
We're just getting this
Mitch.
dialed in.
Lightning storm. Got a photo there and a photo here. Those are still images from a video he took of a lightning storm. North Scottsdale, Laura, of a storm from, I think this was about 5 or 6 days ago, that went over the northern part of the valley. Big low riding pink colored cloud. That's exactly how I received it. These are dark clouds sent in by Brian. Not exactly sure of the location. He sent in that one and this one here. I want to say it's somewhere up in Canada. See a Canadian flag over there on the shore of the lake. This is a spectacular photo sent in by Cindy from Michigan. Big long line in the sky. This one's at either sunrise or sunset, as it's orange. And we see those every once in a while, those huge long lines in the sky. We've seen them go from pole to pole, it seems like, on Google Earth. We saw back several months ago. This is a photograph sent in by
There
Becky
we go.
from Las Vegas. This was way off in the distance. In a photograph she took of a storm, she noticed
All
a
right, now
triangle.
we're up and running.
it is indeed a perfect triangle that showed up in her photograph. Unbelievable. Been seeing
All
a
right.
lot of those lately. Alana from Baton Rouge. Notice.
So what I wanted to talk about in this video, which I can't believe we're still talking about, that's the wildfires in Australia. Been going on for weeks, and what I could find was incredible. 43 million acres so far this year in the wildfire season. Australia bushfire season 2019-2020. 46 million acres. It seems like this has been an infinite wildfire season in Australia. Here it is on Zoom Earth from just a few hours ago. Still visible quite easily from space. And appear to be, in some areas, even getting stronger. This is Zoom Earth. Actually, zoom.earth, in case you guys have not used this before. It's quite amazing software. You can look down within hours. You can't get real time, but it's about as close as you're going to get to real time data if you like to go around the globe. It's like a slightly delayed version of Google Earth. It's unbelievable. What we're looking at today, January 29th, at least here, it's already Thursday in Australia, and that's what they're dealing with in Southeast Australia. I read in this article right here that up to this point, and the wildfires are still going, 1 billion, and they're estimating 1 billion wildlife creatures have been lost in these wildfires, these bushfires. 1 billion. I mean, that's hard to even say. Unbelievable. As of January 14th, fires this season have burned an estimated 46 million acres. That's 72,000 square miles, which is hard to even fathom. I think that's larger than the state of Indiana here in the United States, and getting bigger. Over 5,900 buildings, including 2,779 homes and counting. 34 people have perished. We hope that number stops, doesn't get higher. That's 34 too many. And then an estimated 1 billion animals have perished, some endangered species. So not only has Australia been dealing with the wildfires now for months, the coral reef, the great coral reef down there has been struggling. Now the wildfires. It's just unbelievable what's going on down in Australia. We've got major flooding going on in Madagascar. The large earthquakes that obviously felt throughout the entire Caribbean yesterday. Shook buildings in Miami. There's a lot of activity going on right now around the globe. A lot of activity. What's going on over in the China mainland. We're going to take a look at that here in a minute. There's actually a website out that I'll share with you guys in case you haven't seen it that tracks that coronavirus. Really weird. 91 minutes ago, 5.7 down in Indonesia. Magnitude 6, 70 kilometers west of the Solomon Islands. That was 11 hours ago. One of 4.9, Coquimbo, Chile. 4.9 over in the Middle East. Actually 2, 4.8 in Greece. And then one, I think, just offshore of Mexico. So I haven't seen any major quakes today, which is good. But nevertheless, it's still been pretty active. And it probably will be for a couple of weeks. I'll explain why later. Here's that coronavirus app in case you guys haven't seen this yet. I'll put the link down in the description box. I've never seen anything like this. You know, tracking a global virus like this. This is unprecedented. I remember the swine flu back in 2008, I want to say, 2009. Do you guys remember that? I don't think it was quite to this degree. I mean, we've got a website here. It's by John Hopkins University, or by John Hopkins CSSE, January 29th, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Let me refresh this page. I've had it up for a while, see if it updates. Number's still the same, 6165 confirmed, 6,000 of them over in the mainland China area, which is where the larger circle's at. You see here on the map, and then spread out through mainland China over into Thailand or Taiwan, a couple. Looks like a few down in Thailand, not very many, a couple. Here's the list over here on the left, and it's got this in real time. Highly unusual, never seen anything like this. A global real-time virus tracker. Unbelievable. Kind of reminds you of that movie Outbreak or whatever. It's, again, the link is posted in the description box, but factor in, like I said earlier, everything that's going on. Then throw this on top of it. Wildfires in Australia, giant earthquakes, got flooding over in Madagascar, just off the coast of Africa. Right over in here, it's quite significant. People had to be rescued the last couple of days. Just an unbelievable scene, but I'll post the link to this down in the description box if you guys like. But here you can see the big spike from January 20th until today. I mean, it went up exponentially from 547 cases all the way up to over 6,000 in just a little over a week. But mainly in this area here. So you guys, I'll put this link down in the description box if you want to keep track of this. It's kind of unprecedented. I've never seen anything like that. I want to go over some articles that I found interesting. I was going to do a video about these articles, and then I thought, you know, it'd be easier just to do a live stream. So we'll get to some of these interesting articles I found interesting here. Here's the epicenter. I just wanted to show you real quick while I'm on the subject, and then we're going to move on. But this is the epicenter where there's supposedly a city here that is basically in quarantine. Millions of people right in this area here are in quarantine because of that coronavirus. And that's where the epicenter of that coronavirus is at, right there. Wuhan, right in this area here. Very densely populated area. So this area right here you're looking at, from what we're being told, is basically under quarantine right now. And the majority of the 6,000 people, from what we're being told, what I understand, is right in this area here, according to this map right here. So we'll keep an eye on it, see how quickly it goes up. If it goes up any further, hopefully it will not. This has created, you know, quite a bit of chaos, to say the least, with air travel. It's very unnerving. It's just very, very unnerving. I've heard where a lot of places have sold completely out of masks. You can't find masks anywhere. There's a shortage almost of masks. So, again, links down below in the description box, guys, if you want to follow that. Story here from the denverchannel.com goes on to say, Pacific Ocean now so acidic that it's dissolving shells of crabs, study finds. Article dated today, January 29th of 2020. Here's a picture of the crabs they're talking about. The Pacific Ocean is now so acidic that it's dissolving the shells of crabs, published in the Journal of Science of Total Environment. The study, funded by NOAA, found for the first time that ocean acidification along the northwest coast of the U.S. is impacting the shells and sensory organs of some young Dungeness crabs. While analyzing samples collected during a 2016 NOAA research cruise, researchers say they identified examples of damage to the upper shell of numerous larval crabs, as well as loss of hair-like sensory structures that crabs use to orient themselves in their surroundings. The crab is a prized crustacean that supports the most valuable fishery on the West Coast. Prior to the study, NOAA says scientists thought these crabs were not vulnerable to current levels of ocean acidification. Ocean acidification refers to the reduction of pH, and that holds true for humans and your body. Your ideal pH is 7.2, and if it's below, or if it gets too far below 7.2, then your body, like the ocean, becomes too acidic. So you want to keep your pH balanced as well. So how we get the ocean back to proper pH levels, I don't really know. They're saying it's mainly caused by carbon dioxide from the atmosphere over long periods of time. When CO2 is absorbed by the seawater, a series of chemical reactions occur, resulting in the increased concentration of hydrogen ions. The NOAA wrote, it says the NOAA, it's actually NOAA wrote in a press release, this increase causes the seawater to increase its acidity and causes carbonate ions to be less abundant. Decrease in carbonate ions can make building and maintaining shells and other calcium carbonate structures difficult for calcifying organisms such as oysters, clams, sea urchins, crabs, corals, and some kinds of shelled plankton such as stirpods. We were talking about the Great Barrier Reef down off the coast of Australia, and one thing we were hypothesizing about, this was a year or so ago, was could an increase in UV be bleaching the coral reef, the great coral reefs? In fact, all of the coral reefs around the earth. I think so. And now we've got this, so the pH is off in the oceans, then that's going to throw everything off. And that holds true for your body. If your body's pH is not balanced, then it throws your body off too. So pH levels should always be around 7.2. You can get pH testing strips at any health food store, and you simply put it on your tongue and you want to see it turn purple, and then you're in an ideal position. Canberra fires, terrifying wall of flames heads towards city. Unbelievable that we're still talking about this. Thousands of firefighters have been on this for weeks. Resources of unimaginable amounts of airplanes and air tactics trying to get this wildfire, these hundreds of wildfires, under control. And they have made some headway, even had a little bit of rain, but these things are still going strong. No one in South Canberra will sleep easy tonight. That was yesterday. Hopefully the fire will be easier to control once it leaves the forest and enters the grassy plains. And I remember watching this a couple of weeks ago when it did go into that very thick forest. And boy, you talk about a bunch of fuel. Not only that, it was kind of mountainous, and it was next to impossible for firefighters to even get to. So that was totally being combated by airplanes and helicopters. So I don't know how much longer this is going to go on. I'm sure the people of Australia have had more than enough of wildfires for the next probably 100 years. Never seen anything like this. And I've gotten a lot of pictures from people down in New South Wales and in this area of smoke-filled skies and the sun tucked behind smoky clouds and stuff. Just an unbelievable scene, kind of like this one right here. The fires are heading straight for us, chewing up 4,000 hectares an hour. Our suburb is on high alert for potential evacuation, and that's in the Canberra area. That was yesterday, and right now, looking at it on Zoom Earth, it doesn't look like it's improved any at all. In fact, that area there looks very, very thick. You can see some of the areas that have been burned, and when it entered that forest, I forget, right there it is. In fact, that area right there where that very dense smoke is at, right underneath my magnifier. I remember watching it. In fact, somebody sent me a aerial view of it. Was bright orange when it first went into that forest, because those trees went up very, very quickly. Somebody sent me a picture from down in that area. Just unbelievable, but that's what it looks like. There's the latest view from high above, and the smoke is still carrying over to the New Zealand area. I don't think it's directly going towards New Zealand right now at the moment. It was there for a while. It's stretching across the Pacific Ocean. I think parts of it have even reached South America, if I'm not mistaken. Hopefully this will be over sooner than later, but the way things look right now, it's not going to be over, unfortunately, anytime super soon. Unbelievable. New evidence suggests that Venus has active volcanoes. Article dated January 6, 2020. Image here showing the volcanic peak AIDAN Mons on Venus. And they're saying now that they think Venus has flowing lava. A few worlds in our solar system are volcanically active. Saturn's moon Titan, Jupiter's moon Io, and Earth, of course. And now they think Venus, Earth's twin, is also volcanically active, and that the lava flows may be only a few years old. An organization of setting up colonies on, or a dream of setting up colonies on Mars, Venus in many respects is a much better option, creating an off-world outpost other than the red planet. Both worlds are similar in size, density, and surface composition, and both have an atmosphere with a complex weather system. However, when it comes to atmospheres, Venus is the very opposite to Earth's. Its thick, dense skies do not only help keep the planet blistering hot, it's also very toxic to humans. As such, the prospects of astronauts landing on the planet's surface anytime soon is out of the question. Despite that, scientists are now more than ever keen to get a closer look at Venus. Why? Because it might be a lot more active than previously thought. Venus has been known to have volcanoes for some time. Imaging dating back to the early 1990s from the Magellan spacecraft revealed a world of volcanoes and extensive lava flows, but asserting just how old those flows might have been were very difficult at the time. Now they've determined that those lava flows are not that old. So Venus is very active, could be reacting to something or some sort of activity in the solar system. We're seeing volcanic activity here on Earth. We just had a large eruption here not too long ago down in the Philippines. So volcanic activity, very, very common right now on Venus and on planet Earth. Earth constantly has a volcano erupting. I think there's a small one erupting in Alaska right now. I'd have to look, but I think pretty much at any given time there's probably like a half a dozen on Earth, or if not more, erupting in some capacity. New article here, January 26th, 2020, from theconversation.com. Goes on to say, in a rare sighting, astronomers observe burst of activity as a massive star forms. And this here is an artist impression of basically a supernova. And it goes on to say, here on Earth we pay quite a lot of attention to the sun. It's visible, after all, to us, it's central to our lives. But it's only one of the billions of stars in our galaxy, the Milky Way. It's also quite small compared to others. Many are at least 8 times more massive. These massive stars influence the structure, shape, and chemical content of a galaxy. And when they have exhausted their hydrogen gas, fuel, and die, they do so in an explosive event called a supernova. This explosion is sometimes so strong that it triggers the formation of new stars out of materials in the dead star's surroundings. So it ignites new components in its local neighborhood. But there's an important gap in our knowledge. Astronomers don't yet fully understand how those original massive stars themselves initially formed. So it creates a perpetual question, one after another, that ultimately leads back to the beginning of first light. How did first light form? Those are questions that we'll always have. So far, observations have only yielded some pieces of the puzzle. This is because nearly all of the known massive stars in our galaxy are located very far away from our solar system. They also form in close proximity to other massive stars, making it difficult to study the environment where they take shape. One theory is that a rotating disk of gas and dust funnels materials into the growing star. Astronomers have recently found that the funneling of matter into a forming star happens at different rates over time. Sometimes the forming star swallows up a huge amount of matter, resulting in a burst of activities in the massive star. This is called an accretion burst event. It is incredibly rare. Only 3 such events have been observed out of all the billions of massive stars in the Milky Way. This is why astronomers are so excited about the recent observation of the phenomenon. I was part of the team that recorded this observation. Now our team and other astronomers will be able to develop and test theories to explain how high-mass stars gain their mass. After the first detection back in 2016, astronomers from around the world agreed in 2017 to coordinate their efforts to observe more. Well, would you guys believe me if I told you that I witnessed what appeared to be some sort of a burst of energy in the constellation of Hydra back in 2012? 90 different times in the same exact place, almost that same exact color, but what I saw was red. It looked like a Magellan cloud. It would burst red, then blue. Blue was more shaped. The blue color had more of a it was more of a cloud, a thicker cloud. The red was more of a random Magellan cloud. If you held let's say a pencil eraser, maybe a little bit bigger, let's say a P, at arm's length out in front of you, that's how big the blue burst was. If you held, let's say, a lima bean at arm's length out in front of you, that's how big the red cloud was. I saw 90 different times near Alfred. Alfred is the star. It's called the solitary one. It's at the top of the constellation Hydra. And it's just to the left of Alfred. Between Alfred and Leo in the sky, I observed that phenomenon 2012, 2013, 2014, and part of 2015. I followed it for 3.5 years. It was visible 1 week, actually 2 weeks out of the year. And that was based off of a 365-day orbit around the sun. I had it tracked down to the day when you could see it. And you could only see it for 7 nights. Actually 7 nights and 7 mornings. And then it disappeared. But you could see it with the naked eye if you knew where to look. And I don't have ideal viewing conditions here, so that must tell you that it was fairly close. I don't have the sky optics like a place like Chile, that's one of the best viewing places on Earth, or even, on top of the volcanoes out in Hawaii, Mauna Kea. I have a little bit of city light pollution here. I'm in the suburbs. I have a pretty decent sky, but it's not that great. So for me to be able to see what I saw 90 different times, there was something very special in Hydra. And I don't know where it went, but I followed it for 3.5 years. Saw it by accident, wasn't looking for it. Was standing outside one night and noticed a burst of light in the eastern sky. And I knew it wasn't an airplane. I knew it wasn't a helicopter. I knew it wasn't a Chinese lantern. I knew it was something different. I just didn't know what. And it was in a dark patch of sky. And it was around 9:30 at night. And this was in March. And I stood there and looked because it was very puzzling. I noticed it was red. Had a weird shape to it. Didn't look mechanical. So I stood there and kept waiting, hoping it would come back because I had no idea what I'd just seen. And the reason I saw it in the eastern sky was because that was the only part of the night sky I could look at. The rest of the sky was blocked by palm trees or the neighbor's house, but I did have a really good look, a clear picture of the eastern sky. So I stood there and waited. I'm like, hoping this thing would come back, whatever it was. And guess what? It did. And it looked like what you're looking at on the screen right now. Only difference is it was red. Had more red than this one here. And it came back on 3-minute and 30-second intervals. And every once in a while, it would rotate to blue. Saw it in March, saw it in October, saw it in March, saw it in October. And you could only see it for 7 nights. As the Earth was moving, the window shortened. You would see it between 9:34 and 10:08. And each night that window got smaller. And then the next night, you would see it from, say, 9:40 to 10:08. The following night, you'd see it from 9:44 to 10:08. The next night, it was 9:48 to 10:08. That's how I knew and I learned the Earth was definitely moving around the sun based off of that pulsar or neutron star, whatever it was that I saw. And then the last night, it became visible at exactly 10 o'clock. And I saw it one more time at like 10:04, something like that. And then I didn't see it again. And then in 6 months, when we got on the opposite side of the sun, or an opposite side of this object, whatever it was, you could see it again. But only it would be in the early morning sky. It's in Hydra up by Alfred. Very neat learning experience. One I'll never forget. I still look for it every March and every October. All eyes on Hydra. But I didn't need a telescope, is I guess what I'm getting at. I saw it with the naked eye. Let's take a look at the Schumann real quick. A little bit of activity today, not too much. That's good. There's the earthquakes. Power outages. Got some high winds coming into Southern California starting. Well, actually, the wind advisory is in effect today, tomorrow, and part of Friday. So don't be surprised, especially in the Southern California area, in the next 36 to 48 hours, if the winds don't start to pick up. Gusts could be as high as 70 miles per hour in places in Southern California. So big heads up if you're in Southern Cal. Could be power outages due to those very, very high winds. And we'll be keeping a very close eye on that. The seismographs should be back to normal, and they pretty much are. Yesterday they were all jet black from the 7.7 earthquake in the Caribbean. And it was felt on seismos all around the world. I will say, though, there's still a little bit of activity towards the top. And that could be leftovers from the 7.7. I don't know if you guys saw that last video I put up or not about the water splashing out of those giant silos, those water containers in Jamaica. Unbelievable. Those water containers, it was one of the last videos I put up. Those water containers hold 1,000,000 gallons each. And we know a gallon of water weighs 80 pounds, so there's 8 million pounds sloshing around inside those big, massive containers. It's a wonder they stayed up. They didn't collapse. The roof came off. It didn't come off completely, but it did damage the roof. I'll see if I can find that here real quick. But the water was splashing around inside those big, there was 2 containers coming out the top. Just incredible. Let me see if I can find that video real quick, guys, in case you didn't see it. Yeah, here we go. All right, here's the container. There were 2 of these on Jamaica, 90 miles away from the epicenter. And these are water silos. And they can hold up to 2 million. Just depends on how big they are. The ones that were in the video looked like they were 1,000,000 gallon each. So a couple million gallons of water sloshing around inside these containers that were very well built in Jamaica. I could not believe the walls held up. That tells you these things are built with incredible strength. You're going to see the water come splashing out of the top, going over the side. So it didn't necessarily create a tsunami in the ocean, which was really, really good. But I guarantee you all of these containers, and there's more, not just the 2 that I'm about to show you. There's several more of these containers on the island of Jamaica, just like what you see right here. And I'm sure they were sloshing around, and it about popped the tops off of both of these. In fact, it did pop the top loose on both that you're going to see here in just a second. There are others on this island that probably sustained damage as well to the roof and the seal around the roof, but they're still standing, which is quite incredible. And that should be a testament to whoever built these things, that they built them to withstand a 7.7 magnitude earthquake that was just 90 miles away. Here they are, just incredible water plowing out the top as it was splashing around the inside. Look at that. Those things are huge. Those are at least 1,000,000 gallon. So the roof on top was compromised, but the walls held up. You got to figure, what, 8 million pounds in there splashing around? 8 pounds per gallon. It's pretty simple math. If there's 1,000,000 gallons in there. Well, there's not any more after the earthquake because a lot of it came right out the top there, as you can see. Lost a lot of water, but they're still standing. They did not lose the silos. They withheld the 7.7 earthquake, so they can put that on their resume. That is good construction. Look at that. It's nuts. £8 million. Unbelievable. All right, guys, that's about all I got for now. I just wanted to share those stories with you that I ran across today. Found them all very interesting. Instead of doing videos about each one, I just compiled them all in one live stream. Once again, I will put the link to this coronavirus thing down in the description box so you guys can keep an eye on it. They're recommending, you know, to just wash your hands, keep your hands clean with good old-fashioned soap and water. Don't touch your face, especially if you're out traveling in an airplane. Keep your hands, and especially if you have children, you know, they don't know. Help them keep their hands away from their face, your mouth and your eyes. I remember one time I caught pink eye from a guy at work, and all I did was touch a handrail that he touched, and he had pink eye. He was only there for a few hours. It was highly, highly contagious. And I caught pink eye from him, and he didn't even stay at work. He was only there like an hour, but the virus was there, and boy, I picked it up from him and was off work for quite a while. But good old-fashioned soap and water. Keep your hands away from your face. But hopefully this too will be behind us. Get these Australia wildfires behind us and move forward through 2020. All right, guys, that's all I got for now. Thanks for watching. Have a super day and be safe out there.